I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves quickly. I'll have a few framing comments, and then they'll have a few stories to share, and then a few questions at the end. So, Susan.
I'll go first. All right. Hi, I'm Suzanne Sheri. I am the Vice President of Talent at Rexnord Industries. Rexnord is about a $2 billion global manufacturing company. Long story short is we move things. We move water, we move airplanes, we move conveyor belts, mining equipment, so on and so forth.
My name is Michael Mucha. I'm the Chief Engineer and Director for the Madison Metro Sewage District. We move things too.
We might help you. We might have some valves in there.
And you all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, very important stuff they move, for sure, for sure. Well, you can tell this will be a lot of fun. But let me just offer a few framing comments in terms of the professional development. I mentioned that there would be some overlap. The general framework that we use at the university is education, research, and outreach or engagement. And in the context of professional development, we're talking about your individual employees. And as you think about that, the engagement of the university has a number of opportunities. It could be engaging in a master's degree. So biotech was mentioned. That program was started here by the local firm. Caterpillar mentioned the engines and the work they're doing. Well, there's also a master's online in engine systems that involve people from all over the world. So there are online, weekend, face-to-face master's degrees that your folks could get engaged with. You heard John and some other people at lunch talk about what CPED or what business is doing. There's a lot of non-credit opportunities. So some of your employees might not be interested in a credential, but they want to learn something about managing transitions or being in project management or difficult conversations, or it might be a technical field. The point is, on the education side, we do both credit and non-credit depending on what the learning is and the need of your individual employees are. Research, there was a number of things that were mentioned there, and I know Michael will mention a few of the things that they're doing, but that it doesn't just work from the university end. The engagement from the company side of innovative ideas, there's a lot of learning that happens around that culturally as well. And then in terms of the outreach piece, Rebecca mentioned she serves on the CALS board. There's opportunities to develop your people by being in service on campus. So it could be an advisory board. You could be asked by a student organization to come in and give a talk. You might even co-instruct with an instructor to design a course that might be relevant to the folks that you have. And then there'll be a number of other mentoring opportunities, whether it's in terms of kind of coaching them in terms of opportunities that there might exist in your organization, or it might be like the senior thesis. A lot of times there are people looking for input on their research and their ideas. And so there's a number of other ways that you can engage with the university and with students that actually can develop your own people. And I think it's a lot of times the narrative is kind of how you're just helping our students, but I think that the street runs both ways on that. So the way we've structured this is they're going to share some case studies and some specific experiences with this, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask a few questions at the end. So Susan, why don't you start?
Sure, I'm happy to. So I joined Rexnord a little over 2.5 years ago, and when I joined, the organization had just flipped a switch and gone from a very hierarchical structure to the matrix, right? The matrix, where you've got functions and regions and not clear reporting lines and things like that. I'll also share with you that part of our strategy moving forward is dependent on M&A. And you heard me share that we're about a $2 billion global company. We've actually been around for 125 years, celebrating our 125th anniversary this year. But we are genetically made up of these small companies. And so we flipped the switch to go to a matrix when we may or may not have necessarily been ready. And then we acquire companies, quite frankly, that are small and also very hierarchical. And when I joined, what we were seeing, I'll give you a great analogy. My daughter was playing middle school volleyball, and nothing drives me more nuts than when the ball comes over the net and there's 6 girls around it and nobody hits it. It drives me bonkers. I can't handle that, right? But in a matrix where you don't have direct control or authority, over a lot of the team responsible for getting the work done. That happens a lot, right? And it was manifesting itself in many ways. So we had a couple problems that we could clearly see. First of all, when the president of a division is showing me an email that 12 people have weighed in on and a decision hasn't been made, the ball has fallen and nobody has hit it, right? That's a problem, especially when it's a customer issue. When 12 people have touched it, nobody's gotten back to the customer, and it gets to the president, that's an issue. Another thing that we were seeing from a business perspective is that some people, instead of bump, set, spike, because we know how to get the ball over, and that's how they teach us now to do it, they were just hitting the ball over. They weren't playing together as a team at all, and they were getting in some people's sandboxes where they shouldn't be, and starting to see a lot of friction, and that's my job, or that's my project, and you're starting to see kind of the teams unravel. And because of that, you're starting to see maybe slower product delivery times, right? A drop in customer sat. And although not directly correlated with our business results, let's just say at that time, I'm sure they weren't helping our business results. So you step back and you're like, all right, I grew up in a matrix. This is kind of like embedded in me. It's not a problem. I know how to do it, but I understand that other people haven't. And who can help me with this? So similar to my children, I get on Google. Working in a matrix. And the first thing that pops up, if you didn't see it today in the booth, is Susan Finerty and working in a matrix. And I'm looking at her website, and I see the affiliation with the university. And I'm like, fantastic, because this is actually my 19th year. I thought about that today. My 19th year of working on professional development with the University of Wisconsin through a series of companies. So I reach out, at the time it was Steve King, it's John in here, John's now, as far as executive development, but reach out to Steve King and start that conversation. And here's what the university really brings you around these business problems, and that's what I value. I understand the academic research part of it, and I need you to help me with my business, right? I've got a real big issue here. Is they take the time to get to understand your business problems. And yes, they can bring you kind of the standard solution that they offer in a program or that they've used with other companies. But I appreciate the willingness to dig in, kind of in my case, Rexnord-ize it, understand us, where we were, where we are, where we want to go, and bring our leaders to a place where they understand that with a little more planning and communication, we can actually move faster in this environment than the hierarchical environment. And from an M&A perspective, I can share as well, it's been a huge success. So our most recent acquisition in one of the platforms, again, very hierarchical. And we're learning as we go, right? So now we kind of got the core organization, kind of, a little better in the matrix. But if we're going to add people in that don't understand it, we've got to prepare them before that happens. And again, the university is our partner. We are located in Milwaukee, but they go where we need them to go. They tailor it to where we are and where we're going. And quite frankly, they help us measure the success and the impact of the program as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well,
Pick up Susan's book. But don't book up all her time. I need her still.
Well, good. Let's transition to Michael for a few examples.
Well, we've been working with the university since the 1920s. And I dug up this article. I need to stand up because I need to read this. because a group of 40 state power plant engineers attending their 14th annual school at the university ate hamburger sandwiches fried over a sewer gas flame at the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District. That was in 1928, 1929. So we've had a long, successful partnership. But it started as hamburger sandwiches, but today over 35% of our energy is renewable from methane gas that started from this project. And we're moving to being completely energy independent because we're the 18th largest consumer of electricity in the MG&E service area. So some may argue we're the 18th largest polluter. And we take that very seriously. We had very humble beginnings, building with horses in around the turn of the century. This was the Sewerage district back in the time. Kind of a seedy cast of characters, to say the least. Dirty job. Today it's still a dirty job. It's at the treatment plant itself, 6-7 miles of tunnels. Our treatment plant, you could see the Capitol in the background in Lake Monona, 40 million gallon per day treatment plant. What is 40 million gallons? Anyone have a guess? 40 million gallons is enough water to fill Lake Mendota up every year. So we create a lake with what you flush down the toilet every day, every year. And the water we treat makes its way down the Badfish Creek, down to the Rock River, to the Mississippi River, and then down to the Gulf of Mexico. It takes 40 days for you to flush your toilet here, for the water we create and treat here to get to the wastewater treatment plant. $2 billion facility today in a service area that covers most of Dane County, from as far north as Waunakee, far south as Verona. 350,000 people we serve today. The big change now and where we're really engaging the university is in adaptive challenges. There are two types of challenges that we deal with every day. There are technical challenges and there are adaptive challenges. Technical challenges are you break your leg and then you go to the hospital. There's an SOP on how to fix the leg. Doctors know what to do. All the support staff knows what to do. You fix the leg, you get healed. Adaptive challenges are things that there is no consensus over the problem or the cure. Climate change is a really good example. Some may argue there's consensus around the problem, but in terms of looking at our communities, there isn't. Two, you are challenging people's beliefs, behaviors, and values. So adaptive challenges are really much harder to solve than technical challenges. And at the Sewerage District, where we've used the UW is dealing with adaptive challenges around resiliency, affordability, and resource recovery. Through our science, technology, through collaboration. But a really interesting project is around bubbles. Bubbles is a big challenge for us. To get to energy independence, we have to find a way to use less air in our treatment process. Air is essential because the way you clean wastewater is first you screen out all the inorganics, such as your dental floss and things that shouldn't be in your toilet, bowling balls, 2x4s, those types of things. You got to get those out of the system. And then you have to remove the organic material through bugs, through microorganisms that eat the organic material in the wastewater, which cleanses it. And in order to do that, you need air to keep the microorganisms in suspension until they can eat all the organics, get fat and happy, they float to the bottom, we scrape them up, and then we digest them and create gas with them. So this is the problem right here of what we're trying to solve. We've worked with the university on some really excellent experiments around how do we use low dissolved oxygen treatment processes. We have a plant in our tunnels Right here is a small version of our treatment plant over our 200-acre campus. And you can see the collaboration that exists between the students who are doing the research and our engineers, our senior engineers who have been operating this plant for 30, 40 years, and the learning that goes back and forth, as you said, Jeff, and that project is going on. We're also doing work with the city of Madison and the university around taking municipal garbage food waste from households and bringing it to the treatment plant and putting it through our digesters so we can get the energy from it and get to our energy independence goals and divert hundreds of tons of waste from the landfill. And once again, we're using students to help us with this work and this project. But I'm going to just follow up real quickly with what are some of the benefits that we've seen. We've seen that researchers have really been an extension of our staff. And having a research team from the university, they bring the sense of credibility to the project, because in this day and age, the only way you can make adaptive change happen is if you lead with truth. And the truth starts with the science, and it starts with the data, because you cannot argue good data. And that starts with the research piece. The other piece is we're investing in the next generation. Finding good people in STEM jobs is impossible. Finding good people that not just good scientists, but leaders. People who are willing to lead and have the skills to take on adaptive challenges, because adaptive challenges are extremely risky, because there's a high consequence of failure if you do things wrong, and the public isn't happy when you're experimenting and going out into the unknown, trying things, and they fail. And that's so much a part of research, is trying things and seeing things fail and then learning and going on. And then the third, of course, is collaborating and making friends along the way. Mm-hmm. And that's what the university has been for us. They're good friends and great partners.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well, thank you. Well, let's take, we have 2 minutes, I think. Let's take 1 or 2 questions. If somebody wants to know about Michael's waste, I'm just kidding, or something about, you want to move something? We must, yes, please.
What about compostable toilets?
Yes. I think they're the greatest thing. I really do. I think the game changer probably in 30 to 50 years will be self-contained systems, water treatment, drinking water treatment systems in households. That would be the future. And composting toilets is just the first step in that.
Yes, sir.
Are you also cooperating with the other similar districts like MGNE? Do you have the cutting edge technology, or are there some others which you could also adopt and make it better?
Yeah, there is Green Bay Metro, Milwaukee Metro. We do a lot of shared research and share some of the ideas that we're at. But we all have different challenges. And so many times we're focused on different priorities, such as Milwaukee is a combined stormwater, wastewater system. So their focus is green infrastructure, on how do you reduce the amount of stormwater that gets into the system, where we don't have that at the district. So we're just a pure wastewater treatment system. But there are a lot of similarities in what we're doing.
Well, I'm sure if you have a couple of other questions, you can catch them afterwards. In terms of other offerings that we have, there were several tables of the various units across the campus in terms of the credit, non-credit professional development offerings that I met. And let's thank our speakers for all their efforts.